Now let's see how we do. Hi, Roxy. We've got a canine joiner for the stream, which is not something we normally have. That's kind of cool. Well, why are you sitting right in the sun if that's not where you want to be? You're panting an awful lot, which tells me that you're hot. But you don't have to be hot. There's shade right here. I don't know what we'll talk about today. I did look over the headlines, but I didn't see anything interesting. I didn't see anything worth talking about. To me, the most interesting story in the news lately is still the fact that Elon Musk is an incontinent ketamine addict that can no longer control his bladder. You know, I just think that that's kind of beautiful. I just think it's kind of beautiful that a Republican political appointee has now been caught on the record officially. It's known that he has been fucking high for most of the last 6 months. And that is just wild to me. That is just wild to me. If you would have told me a year ago, in about a year, a high-level Republican campaign operative will be caught high on ecstasy, mushrooms, and ketamine, I would have been like, well, you know what? I probably would have correctly guessed that it would be Elon Musk who would be found out. But I probably would have said, nah, that's bullshit, bro. That's not going to happen. What time is it? I have no idea. Something like 12, 12:30? What are you? I don't know. What am I? What am I? It's a good question indeed. I like to say that I'm a nuisance to man and a mystery to the gods. I died.
I'm sorry, you're doing a thing.
Yeah, but you can hang out.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
My mom's hanging out with me, so you guys will get to hear a little bit of our conversation. Yeah, just don't say anything that would be like locally identifying. That's the only thing. Other than that, we could talk about whatever.
Okay.
But yeah, you're saying now that the smoke is gone, what were you saying about the fire?
Let's go ahead and put some dead bread on the compost.
Yeah, it does. It does cover up the smell of that. That's one of the only bad things about having a compost pile is that they do put off smell. They put off a terrible amount of smell. Smidge looks so alert.
Yeah. Now she's got to watch that way. That way she can see if anybody's going to be sneaking up on me.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
It's just funny to think of a little 2-pound wiener dog being like, I'm guard dog Smidge, you know?
Oh, Roxy, go get in your house.
I told her, I was like, girl, if it is too hot, there must be some kind of therapeutic benefit for her. Like maybe it helps her pain. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is that it might be hot, but it's probably just relieving on her pain. If I had the money, I would get her some of that doggy CBD.
Yeah.
Because that can apparently be really fucking helpful for dogs on their joints and stuff. That's what I've heard anyway.
Yeah. So what's your topic?
Oh, we just started.
Okay.
The only thing I brought up so far is the fact that we found out the other day that Elon Musk is a ketamine addicted moron. You know, but we already knew he was a moron. Now we just know that he's an incontinent ketamine addicted moron.
Yeah, well, I saw something on books that he claims he tried it once and it never did. Okay.
What, ketamine?
Yeah.
That's hilarious because he has also talked about having a prescription for it. See, 6 months ago, people were talking about how Musk was showing signs of ketamine abuse. And I don't remember if it was him or his publicity manager that came out and was like, nah, Mr. Musk is not abusing ketamine. Mr. Musk has a prescription for ketamine. And he talked about it on Joe Rogan, I think. And now he's coming out now because he's actually like a high-level campaign operative that's in the circle of the president. Now he's coming out and talking about like, oh, I've tried it once. I didn't even like it.
Yeah.
Although I know he has said he feels that way about weed.
Well, that would just about be just like, Bill Clinton saying, oh, I smoked weed, I just didn't inhale.
I just didn't inhale.
Yeah.
I took it into the mouth, but I did not inhale. Dude, that's why Obama was one of the most lit presidents ever, because he just admitted, yeah, I smoked marijuana in college. I mean, it was the time. Everybody was doing it, you know?
Yeah.
And I did inhale. Just setting him apart from fucking Clinton. Oh, man. I miss Obama sometimes.
I miss him.
We sound like a couple of shit lips, but you know what? His presidency was so much more... People were acting so much more sane and reasonable back then, which is hilarious, though, to think about, because back then, I remember being like 14 and starting to come of the age of awareness, right? Starting to realize, like, man, it seems like people are real morons, real crazy and shit.
Yeah.
But I just feel like it's gotten way worse over the last 15 years.
Oh, it has. Yep.
I feel like it was COVID that did it.
Yeah, it was. Because, people staying inside and just doing nothing but staying on their fucking computers.
Yes, dude.
Listening to every fucking thing they seen on the internet.
Yep. Because that's all they could find to listen to, right?
Now there are all kinds of retards thinking that, people are full of worms and they need to be taking ivermectin to cure it.
Yeah,
I
dude.
don't think I'm cattle anymore, but whatever.
Yeah, I personally have never leaned into the whole, like, we are going to treat ourselves with horse medicine. That's effective fucking science. Never been my thing, but,
Yeah. I'm all for natural remedies, but shit. Okay.
Ivermectin's about as far from fucking natural as you could get, though. That's what gets me, is that there are people like you who really are about natural remedies. But the thing is, I think most of us who believe somewhat in natural remedies also believe in the fucking truth of science. I mean, you wouldn't be here. I don't want to say too much about your history, but
Oh, absolutely.
my mom would not be here if it were not for the science of medicine.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Well,
what hospital was it that treated you? Cardinal Glennon?
Yeah.
Yeah, Cardinal Glennon Hospital in St. Louis saved my mom's life when she was born premature, saved her life, and that was back in the 70s.
72.
You know, so sound, really incredibly sound and advanced modern medical science has existed for over 50 years now, and it just seems like there's this resurgence of snake oil people. That's what I call them.
And apparently, Cardinal Glennon trained doctors using my medical records
Yeah, that's
on
the
how to treat premature babies.
that's the scuttlebutt, right? And that would make sense because the more complex a case is, the more interesting it is for medical science. That's that's the whole thing a case study is based around. So I'm 100% sure if I searched, which I don't want to say your name on stream for obvious reasons, but if I searched your name on Google, I'm pretty fucking sure I could find a case study that describes what happened from the time you were born to the time you were um, let out from the hospital, discharged.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so the fact that people are just so anti-science these days is just, I don't know, it is fucking ridiculous. And I think you're 100% right that during COVID-19, everybody was staying inside, and the normal kind of social like, think about it. What keeps people from believing stupid shit when something like COVID-19 isn't going on and when the culture hasn't already been poisoned? It's social shit, right? It's like social admonition. It's being admonished by your coworkers for believing stupid things. It's having friendships end because you believe a stupid thing, you know? And that didn't happen during COVID. A lot of people were staying home. A lot of people weren't going to work. A lot of people were not able to, a lot of people just weren't able to engage in the same way that they used to with their friends and family. And so they ended up getting isolated, socially isolated, and ended up like creating this whole new reality for themselves. I can mute it if you guys need to talk. Thank you. I'd been meaning to do that for a couple days. I thought she was setting them.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Oh, she does. Maybe that's why she's doing well.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I think people just established like a completely new idea of what real is and isn't in the era of COVID-19.
Now we got people, thinking that those fake pictures of, mermaids and werewolves and stupid crap.
Literally.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's
fantasy
true.
Bullshit. Right.
I've had people, honest to God, look at me and say that mermaids are real.
I have
and
too.
Vampires are real.
I have too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. It's well crazy. It's absurd, and this is shit that when the myths about them were written, people knew it was bullshit. This was shit that was known to be fiction when it was written. It's like I don't know. It reminds me of when there was this director of the CIA that at one point that was appointed. He got in there, read this book that was full of CIA disinformation, and was like, "This shit's true." And then all of his CIA staff that had been there for a long time were like, "No, Bill, this is not. This is like the farthest thing from true. We know this is a lie because it's the lie we wrote." But it just goes to show you, dude, people can be made to believe any fucking thing if they are kept in isolation and not challenged on their stupid bullshit.
And that's why we have comfort as a president now.
100%. 100%. It's literally an outgrowth of that exact phenomenon.
Exactly. And people don't even realize
Yeah.
What gets
Well,
me is, like the people that I work with, they're them, being surprised when ICE is come bringing in people and all that other crap. And, oh well, I didn't think that place was going to be like that. Well, what the hell did you think it
yeah, what the
was?
fuck did you think it was going to
Yeah,
be like?
yeah, yeah,
Like, you just want to shake those people and be like, what the fuck
yeah,
did
yeah,
you picture? What was
yeah,
in your head
yeah,
when you voted Trump? What was in your mind as to like what that was actually going to look like?
yeah,
When you were talking all this crazy haughty shit about immigrants, which
yeah,
all of
yeah,
these people were,
yeah,
they all
yeah,
had fucking
yeah, yeah.
crazy wild beliefs on immigrants.
Yep, 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 yep.
And now
And
when they actually see the outgrowth of that, when they
yep,
see produce prices rising, which produce
yep,
is supposed to be one of those things. America farms, right? America got its
yep,
start as an industrial fucking country by
yep,
exporting our food products.
yep.
And now,
And cotton
yeah, well, yeah, and
and
but
tobacco.
right, but
Yeah,
agricultural products, both
yeah,
of those are
yeah,
agricultural products, And so
yeah,
you think about it, America got its start with agriculture. We are a farming country. We can grow any fucking thing here, and produce is supposed to be one of these things to which it's not subject to the same sort of inflation as everything else because we produce so much of it here. But now, so much of it's going to have to be produced in Mexico or Canada, and what is produced here is going to be overpriced as fuck because they're gonna have to use temp agencies and shit,
yeah,
places that that aren't gonna sign a contract with an employer unless they're paying them like $10 an hour or something, because a talent agency doesn't want to get a reputation for sending you to work for $5 an hour. You know?
yeah. And also, a lot of people don't realize that when farmers have been receiving government subsidies for so long, I'm sorry, they're using that money from the government. You know, be, well, they're not farming their own land. That's what the
Yeah,
subsidy is for, so that
yeah,
they can keep prices in check. Well, all of a sudden, we have to grow everything here. So guess what? That area of farmland needs to be planted.
right.
You know,
But those
and
farmers
now
aren't going to
also,
violate their subsidies.
yeah, exactly. And now we also have Monsanto that has nothing but seeds that are fucked with continuously, and you don't even know what's going to come up and what's going to come up and what ain't.
Right.
Shit.
I tell people all the time, especially MAGA kind of people, when they come and argue with me in my chat, I will tell them all the time, dude, I just hope you're ready for when you have to pay fucking $4 a tomato.
Yeah,
I just hope
yeah,
you're fucking ready because
yeah,
my family is ready. My
yeah,
family is
yeah.
ready. We're fucking ready. Here's how ready we are. There you go. That's how ready we are. How ready are you guys? You know? People want to talk this crazy bullshit when it comes to immigration, but
Yeah.
then they don't want to consider the actual reality of what happens when every Mexican is deported out of America. And what happens when every Mexican is deported out of America? American industry fucking slows to a crawl as
Yeah,
we fucking scramble to recover because this
yeah,
country is built on the labor of Mexican immigrants.
yeah. And
It's
everybody wants to
fed.
sit there and say, "Oh, well, they steal jobs." No, the fuck they don't. We got a country right now who is just nothing but lazy motherfuckers sitting on their ass, getting Social Security benefits that they should not have just because they're fucking lazy. That needs to change.
Ultimately because they were able to con the system in some
Exactly,
way, right?
exactly. That's the point.
Right.
That's the point. When you got some woman sitting around, giving birth to 10 babies because she gets a bigger check every time she has one. I'm sorry, something needs to give. When you got people who are just too big to work, and oh well, I can't work. Well, excuse me, how in the world did you get that big?
We need the
You know?
system, but it needs to be a pro-human
Oh
one,
yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. It
Right?
does. It
Because like
does.
there are people
Absolutely.
like everybody eventually gets to a point where they just shouldn't be expected to
Yes.
work
Yes.
anymore,
Yeah.
and that's
Exactly.
an entirely human thing. And some people,
Yeah.
they want to work hard, but when they were 35 they got fucking hit in the leg real bad or something fell on them
Yeah.
and crushed
Yeah.
their leg, and
Yeah.
they just physically cannot do the type of
Exactly.
manual labor that they used to.
Yeah.
But in
Yeah.
my opinion, like if we're going to have a system based on this idea of people having jobs, and I think that human beings have gotten kind of used to the idea of an occupation in terms of having something that they know how to do, and that at least a few things that they're passionate about that they can fill their time with, right? I think that the idea of an occupation is okay, but I think if we're going to have a system based on occupations, then the systems that we have to help people out when they're no longer able to work or something should be focused on finding other things for those people to do,
Yeah.
because then even if someone is lazy or something, if the system is focused on not just providing you a baseline, right? But
Mhm.
also helping figure out somewhere else you can go. So, like, okay, so you're too fat to work a traditional job. You've allowed yourself to get to the point where that, so we're going to work on your health. But in the meantime, here's this list of employers in your area that hire for desk jobs. Yeah, like, look at how many fucking fat security guards there are. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That basically just work a desk job, so it doesn't, they don't have to be thin, you know?
yeah.
Think about how many office jobs there are, especially in big cities. I mean, in
Oh
big
yeah,
cities,
yeah,
this should be a non-issue, you
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
But of course, ultimately, when it comes to the abuses of the like social security system and shit,
Yeah.
a lot of times that's why I believe in this this idea of just providing a baseline for everybody that can't be abused. You know,
Yeah.
that can't be abused by. Um, because right now it's kind of like unfair how it works, right? Because like because you're right, like regular working class people that have a regular job and everything are expected to work until they're fucking 70, 75, 80 in some cases, because the retirement age just keeps on going up. And so people are expected to work till later and later times, and they're expected to pay rent or a mortgage or at the very least property taxes for their
Yeah.
entire life, right? There's all this expectation placed on some people, but people who are foolhardy enough in their laziness, who are
Yeah.
steadfast enough in their laziness, can figure ways out of that. And I think that that's kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
But to me, it's way more of a human solution to expand the program to provide everyone with a baseline than it would be to destroy the program or something like that, which I don't think that's what you would advocate for anyway. But then destroy the program to prevent those people from being able to abuse it.
Well,
Because
see,
even if there's not a government program, those people would probably just find a family member or something to abuse, right?
that's the thing. I mean, well, when it was implemented, you know, there was a reason that it was implemented. And
Right, because old people were getting
yeah,
to.
yeah, and people needed it. Kind of like unions. When they were when people rallied around unions, it was needed, and even now it's needed.
It's desperately needed. People just don't
Desperately
realize
needed.
it
Yes,
anymore.
because people now think that unions are some wicked thing that they don't need. Yeah, yeah, you do. There are some jobs that just scream out that they need unions to represent them. There are some that don't. You know, I'm sorry when you pay someone more to sit on their ass and do nothing. You know, when they can't do their job because of the union regulations. I'm sorry, there's something wrong with that. That's another thing that needs to be overhauled. But my point is, even the Social Security system, when it was started, there was a reason, a good reason that it was started, but it created generational. Uh,
Generational poverty.
yes, exactly, exactly, and people who generationally abuse the system.
Right.
How much rat poison was still in the barn?
Uh, like a third of a bag, maybe?
Probably gonna lose all the stock.
Why?
Somebody didn't latch all the way door. That's where they were all at. And the rat food bag's empty. A few pieces on the ground.
Oh my god.
It's out there burning trash and they heard something bang.
Yeah, never mind.
What?
Never mind. Never mind.
What?
She's on the thing. You really want that being out there?
What?
Well, some drama is evolving. It's going to be an interesting day, folks. It's going to be an interesting day here at the Phoebe household. Thank you, Luke Skyrunner, for cleaning up the chat. I'm sorry that it's been so wild, but yeah, me and Mom have just been sitting here having a little conversation about shit. Apparently, somebody left one of the barn doors unlocked, and some animals were able to get into the hallway of the barn and get into some rat poison that was down there. Now, I don't know that there was enough there to kill what we have, but I also know that the door that ah, shit. The truth is, the door that fucking would have had to get open for everything to get into the hallway of the barn is a door that is fucking janky and fucked up. And sometimes it will seem like it is closed and like it's latched, but it's actually only caught like by a hair, you know? And you'll tug on it and it'll hold, but then something like a goat ramming into it will open it. But when it comes to things like this, a lot of times it's a matter of dose. So if they didn't eat all of it, there's a good chance that they live. Because even rats don't usually get a lethal dose in one feeding. So I will be right back. Unless he trudges through it, which sometimes he does. I've seen him do it to make a point. I mean, you can see what. Hey, Mom, you know, you can use my shoes as an example of what shoes look like. you know?
Yeah.
I've been doing it for a while.
Yep.
I don't know.
All right, sweetie. I'm down there trying to help mommy.
Dude, and we've still got 95 viewers.
Oh, nice.
All this people waiting to hear about how the scuttlebutt ends up ending. So it was a false alarm. When I said that there was like a third of a bag left, I got to thinking about it, and really, last time I got some out to scatter it, it was way less than a third. It was probably like a fifth of a bag, maybe an eighth of a bag, maybe.
No, that's eight.
Yeah.
That's about what's left in it.
Was it still in the little trash bag right there?
It had been dropped on the floor.
Okay. So they probably nuzzled it and like sniffed in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, about the only thing we might lose would be the ducks.
Yeah.
They might be tempted, but
Yeah, the ducks might be tempted because they're omnivores, but
yeah.
I mean we've already
And
lost
chickens.
fucking half of our duck flock anyway, so
Right.
not that it would be nice to lose the last few. I'm just saying,
Yeah, we've already lost most of our chickens.
Yeah, that was fucking wild. Although honestly, I think a lot of that just comes from the fact that seep that has there's always been a seep over there, but I don't know. This year was just like, if you remember, last year was a pretty wet year.
Oh yeah.
And this year has turned out to be a pretty wet year, so we're fully out of the drought, and I think we're wetter than we used to be when I was a kid, honestly. And so now it just, that seep moved into the barn, and now that whole fucking chicken bin just stays fucking muddy.
Yeah.
Just literally just stays mud. Which I think it would dry out, but it would have to be daylighted. Oh, dude, there's 199 people. Make sure you guys hit that like button. It really does help. Every single time you hit that like button is another chance for this stream to gain another viewer. So please help the channel out by hitting that button. This is pretty magical for you, isn't it?
It's neat.
It is neat, isn't it? Well, that's why I wanted you to sit down and hang out with me for a while, because I knew when you came and sat down earlier, I was like, oh, this is going to be so great. Oh, man. Now I don't have to rely on my dumbass chat.
Yeah.
But yeah, on the topic of people like believing total nonsense bullshit, it is wild to think like, I was only 3 when 9/11 happened, but I hear a lot of people your age and like 10 years older than me, between those ranges, talking about how 9/11 is like another big moment when like half the country started believing crazy bullshit that didn't make any sense.
Well, yeah.
Do you think it was more pronounced in like after 9/11 or after COVID-19?
Oh no, I think after 9/11, a lot of people started grasping at any kind of what's the word I'm looking for here? Conspiracy theory.
Oh,
because
yeah,
there
okay,
were
yeah.
so many of them. I mean, that was just like the John F. Kennedy assassination. That right there, a lot of people was, I have to say that, I still don't think that, what's his face was alone, but whatever.
I don't think so either. Yeah.
Either way, that's a conspiracy that'll, probably never die.
Yeah, right.
At 9/11, the conspiracy behind it,
The multiple conspiracies,
yes,
right?
Because, I mean, with 9/11, I mean, I sat there and, was watching it on the news as it happened. Well, before it hit the second tower, I said right away, because I knew right away what was going on. But anyway.
Well, what was it you said? I remember what you said.
You were the one who woke me up. Or no, I woke up because I was having a dream that we were being bombed by planes.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
okay.
And that's what you had the TV on,
As I am wont to do,
yes.
even today.
But anyway, I walked in there, and as soon as I looked at the TV, I went and woke your dad up and said, "Hey, they're bombing the World Trade Centers." And this was about 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes before everyone else figured out that it was actual bombing of the trade centers, because they were still trying to figure out what the fuck was going on, when the second one was headed for the second tower.
Didn't they think at first that there was a possibility that a plane just lost control?
Yes.
Yeah.
That it was just, misdirected or something like that. And I don't know, I just knew right then that it was on purpose. But
Did
that
you know
being
anything
said,
about aviation before then or anything?
no, I didn't. Yeah,
It was just,
it was just a dream.
yeah. Okay, cool.
But anyway, he woke up and we watched TV that pretty much that entire day. We figure out what was going on. But I will say this much: there was nothing like 9/11 to bring this country together.
Really?
I think that because at the time, uh, New Yorkers, uh, maybe they're just used to the craziness or something, but you could watch the New Yorkers walking away from the towers, and helping each other get away from the
Oh,
towers.
yeah. Oh, yeah. That's some
It
of the
was
most famous
phenomenal.
9/11 footage.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, it was phenomenal. It's something I won't ever forget
Huh.
because, like I said, and the whole world, mourned with the nation, you know, and it was a sad moment in our history as a country. But at the same time, this country came together like never before, or not never before, but probably like it hadn't since like World War II.
Yeah, that's what I would compare it to.
But
Because Korea was divisive. I know
yeah,
Vietnam was incredibly divisive. Desert Storm was divisive.
yeah. But everybody was like, okay, yeah, we need to figure out what happened. How to keep it from happening again. We need to double down and do something about it.
Do you think that's why the American people didn't really resist the Patriot Act and things like that?
Mhm. Absolutely, because in their minds, it was a way of keeping the rest of America safe.
Do you think they were right about that, or do you think it was like more of an overreach?
I think there were some things that was an overreach, but at the same time, you know, you got to start somewhere. Because at the time, before that, you could take anything on plane, obviously.
Right,
That's how they did it,
right.
you know.
Yeah, I would say that I kind of agree with that because, like, when it comes to the restrictions about what you can bring on an airplane and shit like that, I think it's absurd that there weren't already security fucking
Yeah,
restrictions
exactly,
on the basis of that. I mean,
Yeah.
what sucks about the airline industry is, from what I can tell, aviation follows the rule of all rules are written in blood. And so something doesn't become like, oh, this is a rule we have to work around until after people die. And it sucks that that's how it is. And honestly, it sucks that so many fucking hijackings had to happen before, uh, before the aviation authorities here in America started taking that sort of thing seriously. Because, like, who was that dude? DB Cooper? That fucking just hijacked a jet, took off with $1 million or whatever it was, and fucking jumped out the back of a plane with a parachute. Dude, how the fuck? Like, you would think after an incident like that, right? That the things that he used to commit that crime, you'd think that there'd be some security protocols installed after that. Nope. It took a 9/11. It took like an active suicide bombing in New York City to some of its most prominent skyscrapers for us to actually take action in terms of
And to the Pentagon.
right, yeah, and to the Pentagon, 100%. And I mean, one was fucking aimed for the White House, but in my opinion, they shot it down because they knew it was aimed for the White House, and so they scrambled a couple of F-22s and shot that motherfucker down. And I don't blame them. I just don't get why they lie about it. I don't get why there's this heroic story about how the fucking passengers called up their loved ones on the ground on their cell phone, which mysteriously worked in the middle of a plane, and it just seems like a fantastical story to me when it's the fucking president. It's the center of, well, it wouldn't have been the president because he was away at that elementary school, but it's the center of governance in America. It's like killing the president or something like that.
Yeah.
And I think that they just shot it down out of the sky to prevent it from hitting its target. And I don't get why it's lied about, but in my opinion, it probably is lied about. Do you think they actually took the plane down? Do you think the passengers took it down?
I would hope that they did, but I've never really thought much about that particular one.
Or nobody does,
Yeah. Mainly just because, the whole thing was, well, experiencing the whole thing. It's just like to me when they figured out that, it was a bombing and everything, I was just like, okay, yeah. Moving forward, you know.
It is.
That's what I said in the first place, but okay.
You were like, yeah, well, I've figured that since minutes before it happened, but okay,
Okay, glad y'all finally caught up. Thanks for listening.
I mean, I think a lot of I bet that there were a lot of people who were familiar with aviation who probably felt the same way you did, just based on the fact that like it is so hard. Because if you look at that, it's what it's what aviation would term a controlled flight into a structure or a controlled flight into terrain.
Trajectory.
Right, and but it's like they main control all the way through. It's not like there's any erratic flight patterns that happened before that.
Yep.
They were trained by American pilots and American flight schools before they went back to Saudi Arabia to complete their fucking, I don't know. I hate to sound like a neoconservative, but their terrorist training,
Yeah.
and then that's when they come back over to America and then fly the planes into the buildings, right? And just wild to fucking think about how, I don't know, how homegrown that entire terrorist operation was, if you think about it. Because, like, Osama bin Laden was originally a Mujahideen fighter, and they received training from the CIA, and then fucking, what is it, like 20 years later?
Mm-hmm. Yep. We made them.
Yeah. That's
We made them. We paid for what they had.
Yeah, exactly. We made them. We paid.
Dollars at work.
Yeah, dude. And then once they flew planes into our buildings, we invaded them for 21 years. And then you know what we did? Gave them a bunch of American military equipment again.
Yep.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. That's America for you, folks.
Yep.
Man, has there ever been a people on the history of the United States who have had a better experience with colonialism under the United States than Afghanistan? I mean, just like if you're a warlord in Afghanistan, not if you're an average person. If you're an average person in Afghanistan, your life sucks. But if you're like a warlord in Afghanistan, man, America's been a fucking the best enemy to have, dude. They give you a good fight, a rousing challenge, and then they leave you a bunch of modern equipment to help you prepare for the next time they want to invade you. It's like a self-sustaining system that's been going for 40 fucking years now. The balance of your life and mine,
Yep, absolutely. Yep, absolutely.
You know why I think nobody does anything about this type of shit, though?
Why?
That sound right there. The fact that there are so many tranquil spots in America, it's very easy to feel removed from these issues if you think about it, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And sometimes it's better to feel removed from these issues. I mean, I'm sure even a person, like I'm sure even a Syrian living through the bombings would probably has some kind of place of solace that they try to get off to as often as they can,
We'll just run around like, I love it here. Just run around like crazy.
Oh yeah, she loves being out in the yard.
That was like the third round. Just running around.
Oh yeah, dude, she loves it out there.
Yeah, she does.
2 vapes is crazy, I know. June is not Pride Month. Juneteenth makes June Black History Month. Can it be both? Why can't it be both?
I don't know. That sounds like kind of crazy, isn't it?
Ah, yeah. I mean, I thought February is Black History Month.
You know what? I ain't too sure.
I'm pretty sure February is Black History Month.
But I don't know why we gotta have months designated to it. How about we just be proud of who we are every fucking day?
That's kind of how I feel too.
Yeah. Celebrate who you are.
I titled the stream "First Day of Pride Month," but that was more for the SEO of it, the search engine optimization. Algorithmically good title. And I'm a queer content creator, so it makes sense. But who the fuck says my first day of Pride Month celebration stream has to be about Pride Month? But yeah, if we're gonna talk about it, I think Pride Month is a pretty stupid idea. I think that we should just have like pride in ourselves every day, like you said. I don't think there's any reason that we need to like designate certain months to it. And you know what? I feel like it's exclusionary too. It's exclusionary on both sides. It makes people. Yeah, exactly. Because everybody's excluded by one or more of these months, and I don't know. I don't know how you feel, but I feel like now is the time for human beings to start learning ways to come together,
Oh yeah.
learning ways to just bring ourselves together to kind of like fight these divisive sort of
Yeah.
like arbitrary lines that we draw between different groups of people.
Yeah.
And I think like those distinctions are important in terms of like people, because people will discriminate on the basis of those distinctions. um, you have to understand them, but I think we would be better off if we could all get over the distinctions, the
Our
haters,
American,
the lovers.
yeah, our American culture would not be our American culture without all the cultures that make up America
Exactly.
and have for the last 200 fucking years.
Exactly. And
And people who can't see that outside is fucking stupid.
yeah, no. And it's like, once you realize that and you see the beautiful melting pot for what it is, it becomes kind of hard to support ideas that, in my opinion, just end up setting people against one another,
So that's all it does. Yeah.
Right.
And people just love a good fight. I mean, hell, I gotta admit, I love a
100%.
good fight.
Me too.
But
Hell yeah.
I tell you what, it's got to be about something fucking important. You know.
And yeah, I would like to not have to fight about whether Pride Month, like I regret the amount of time I've spent defending Pride Month as an institution, because now that I've grown up a little bit more, I really don't think it's important at all. I think you can have dignity. I think you can have dignity and self-pride and self-assuredness and all of that without needing a month dedicated to the cause.
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, I think if you can't have it without that, then that demonstrates a personal weakness that you should overcome, if for no other reason than your own personal development.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't see it that way, though. A lot of people are fiercely defensive of these Pride months because they look at it as like, and not just like, Pride Month, but like Black History Month, Native American History Month, etc. And I understand why, but I also feel Mississippi Trucking Company.
Yeah.
Anyway, love these streams. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. What the fuck were we talking about?
Pride Month, exclusionary.
Oh, yes, exclusionary tendencies within Pride Month and other Pride Months like it. So, yeah. I think that I think they come from a good place. I understand the place that they come from, but I feel like it's a little bit of a like shitty neoliberal place where it's like you need a special designator to feel special and important because you don't feel special and important yourself, and it feels like an attempt to correct what is ultimately a personal problem with broad sweeping like policy and cultural change, when it's really like a matter of making it. It's here's the thing, an angle you don't hear a lot from a lot of queer activists. Here's one bad thing about Pride Month: it allows people to feel like the only month that they need to show any true allyship towards queer people is June. Like that's the only time that they need to be out and open about their support of queer people, when in reality it doesn't matter what month it is. If someone's being a fucking if someone's bashing fags, make sure you bash back. That's the fucking ultimate thing. Whether it's January, June, or fucking August or December, it doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter.
I unfriended your half brother because on Facebook because he said something about Apple was pushing sin.
Sin, bro.
Yeah.
Sin.
Yeah, I could not. I tried to read what he said, and I just couldn't do it. I'm sorry. One sin is no worse than the other. And I'm sorry because I still think that particular person is closeted but at the same time they put in there somewhere about they just sort of came upon this thing, and they lucked into this. Uh, Someone felt sorry for you and gave you a house, so you sold it to do your own crap. You have never acted like an adult. You're, old. I'm sorry. Go the fuck up.
He is getting old, isn't he?
Yeah,
How old is he now?
he's 40, I think. 35 or 40.
Oh
somewhere
shit!
around there.
No, he was 35 like 5 years ago though. He might be older than 40. He might be like 42.
You know what? I think he was born in 85, so he's 40 this year. He'll be 40 on his birthday. Yeah. Anyway, either way, I'm sorry. The way he has lived his life has been nothing but sin, in my opinion. Which I'd be the last one to ever talk about sin.
But that's the point, right?
Yeah, exactly. It is.
Judge not lest ye be judged, right?
Exactly.
It's it's Jesus and the adulteress.
Yeah. And it's just the fact that I firmly believe in what one particular woman who does profess to be Christian and tries to be Christian. What she said was, we as humans are the ones who put a value on a sin. The Bible does not.
Yes, that's a perfect way to put it.
Yeah, it is. There is no better way to put it. And it shouldn't be that way. But we as humans, of course, are fallible. But this particular Christian said, I know I'm not perfect. I may not like what someone does, but I can't be the first one to cast stones. I can't cast stones at all because I'm not perfect.
Right.
I mess up every day. I just continue to try to not make the same mistakes.
Yeah, 100%. It's not supposed to be about being perfect. It's not supposed to be about, striving to make other people perfect. Ultimately, from what I can tell, from listening to true Christians and my own exegesis from reading the Bible, I'm not a Christian, but I like to think that being an actual Christian means being self-reflective of when you do something wrong and apologetic of it, and allowing yourself to harbor some guilt for those negative or antisocial actions.
I'm sorry, I was just watching Bella and Pinto Bean.
Oh, you're fine. One of my mods thanked me for turning on subscribers only mode and putting a slow mode in, because we're sitting at 76 people right now, but we've been ranging between 100 and 150, and chat's going really quickly, so I finally, an hour in, set a slow mode.
Yeah.
But yeah, it sucks that so many Christians are so fucking hypocritical about that shit, because it really does seem like, and I tell people this all the time, for some people, Christianity is just the convenient shield they need to be hateful about people that they don't like, or that they don't want to associate with, or that they were raised to hate, or whatever.
Yeah. People who just want to feel self-righteous.
Mm-hmm.
Because it makes them feel better, and that's all it is. It's the same way with, it's the same concept as bullying. That's all it is.
Yeah.
That's really what it boils down to. It's just, a bigger version of it.
No, for sure. He's the last one left, but he's awfully proud.
Oh, yeah, he is.
He's the last man standing. He should be.
Yeah.
And if you would have asked me to guess which one would be the last one standing, I wouldn't have guessed that little white rooster.
Yeah.
There were a number of times when I tried to catch him for dinner.
Yeah.
And he just, he was too savvy at escaping the net, so I just went with somebody else,
Yeah.
I like a plucky chicken like that.
Yeah. At least grab a rooster for a woman to get those baby done.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, hey, at least they're both white. They might produce some pretty babies.
Yeah. True enough.
Yeah. You never know.
Yeah.
humans are genetically tribal, just like every creature on this planet. Yeah. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah.
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 I would say in general, humans are like, and it does seem to be passed down generation from generation, but I think it's, I would say that it's up to the individual whether you fight back against that kind of thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But you know, that right there also goes back to it takes a village to people need to be able to depend on one another.
Right. Oh yeah, dude, that is something I talk about all the time. Like in terms of like community organization is the popular lefty term for it, but ultimately, it's just having solidarity with one another. It's being able to be there when your neighbor, like when your neighbor is going through really hard times, and they ask if you've got any produce or something that you can sell because they know your prices are way better than the stores, you know,
Yeah.
and giving them extra produce so that they can help get through the next few weeks until things pick up again. It's, you know, it's helping your neighbors fucking fix up their house so that they can move into it and get it ready or whatever the case may be.
Yep.
There are all sorts of things that people, and I think people in rural communities probably do it more often, but I don't know about you. I feel like it's dying out everywhere. Because you remember when I was a kid, there was a person who lived right up the road who would ask me about every 2 weeks, him and his family, because he was a school teacher and I think his wife was a school teacher too, or a nurse or something. And so they would go on outings every other weekend. And they would ask me to go up there and keep an eye on their chickens. Well, not keep an eye on them, but, you know, turn them out, turn them back in, feed and water them. And part of the deal was I could gather up the eggs, and we could have all the eggs throughout that week. And so I would gather up all the eggs because they had a ton of chickens. I mean, they had a ton of land for them to prowl on, but you know, they had a ton of chickens, and we would get so many eggs out of that. We'd do a bunch of breakfasts around that time and everything. But it was this sort of like symbiotic relationship between us and someone else in the community. And we don't have anything else. We don't have anything like that going on anymore.
Even with family.
Yeah, even with family. That was the epicenter of it when I was a kid, right?
Yeah.
Because I remember being a kid, you and Grandma would be canning shit, and like all sorts of different people in the family would come help out in one way or another, you know?
Yeah. Well, I know, but had been for Mama, I wouldn't learn canning at all.
Right.
You know, gardening and stuff, you know.
Right.
I learned everything I know from gardening, from her, you know.
It's a generational skill.
But, you know,
Yeah. Hey, that's another thing that's generational, right?
Yeah.
Genetic, maybe.
Yeah.
But, no, yeah, it's kind of beautiful to think, you know, because you learned that when you were younger and Grandma was younger. Now that skill has been passed from her generation to yours. Now you're going to be teaching me canning.
Yeah.
I've already had a couple of run-throughs, but obviously this summer we're going to be doing a lot more of it because we've got a shit ton of tomato plants, many of which are paste tomatoes for my special pizza sauce recipe. I mean, not that they're specifically for that, but you know what I mean? They're going to be very useful in the creation of that and all the salsas you do. And I hope you do a pico de gallo recipe. You should do a pico de gallo recipe.
All my tomato plants that I set aside specifically for my salsa, they're going to be basically set aside for the medium and hot salsa, and super hot salsa.
Well, what if we end up having another tomato that's good for salsa?
That's what I use as my secret. And I ain't going to say it.
I know.
My secret.
I know what the secret is.
Yeah. And there are some that would probably be good, you know, but I don't like the profile that it has.
Yeah.
Without my special secret tomato.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I can't blame you.
Yeah.
I can't even blame you.
Because when you open a jar of my salsa, it smells like you just cut up a tomato right there. And just went ahead and threw some stuff in there because it just smelled really good because it's so fresh. You know, you can smell the freshness as soon as you open it.
100%. I love it too.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I, I have a line of direct comparison because those special peppers I use in my I thought of a name for it the other day. By the way,
What?
I'm just gonna call it a Cajun tomato sauce.
Yeah.
Because it's not Italian. It's well, it is, but it's like not. It's bastard Italian. It's fucking. It's weird, you know.
Yeah.
It incorporates like Cajun cooking techniques and fucking French cooking techniques and Italian fucking herbs and shit. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to call it like. It's not a bolognese sauce. It's not a. It's not a ragu, you know?
Yeah.
It's not exactly a pizza sauce,
Yeah.
but it is a delicious sauce of tomatoes, a certain type of special bell pepper, white onions, and garlic, thyme, rosemary, basil, oregano, kosher salt.
Okay, now you just give
Some
away
bacon
your
fat.
secrets there. See it?
No, see, because I didn't tell them what kind of pepper it is. That's the fucking thing. They can use this exact recipe. Do it. I challenge you to. Make my fucking pepper sauce. No, it's not a pepper sauce. Make my fucking Cajun tomato sauce and present it to me, and I will taste it, and I will tell you if you've done a recreation, and we will taste test them together. And you know what? No one will match it because no one knows. Nobody knows and nobody sees. Nobody knows but me.
Nice. Nice, very nice.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I love the fact that we have fucking muscadine vines.
Oh, I know.
God, that's cool.
That's the other thing I was watching when I was watching the goat and the cow over there. Because we had to redirect the muscadine vines this way because they was going over that way. And, you know.
They're going to get eat. They're going to get ate.
She likes to try to get things over the fence.
Yep.
Because they taste better over the fence.
Yeah.
You know.
See, now that I look at Bella, she's eating the ryegrass, so it's the wildest fucking thing. She just doesn't like it very much, for whatever reason.
Yeah. I don't know. Goats like it.
Yeah, goats fucking love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons why I got winter ryegrass is because it's a good forage feed.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and the fact that it grows during winter means that, like, you know, if you sow it heavily enough in the autumn, you can sometimes have it growing by the time all the summer and fall kind of pasturage has died off. You know. But that yard looks so much better than it did when we first moved back in. Oh my God, it's back to its former state.
Oh yeah.
It actually looks better because all of that fucking shit is gone, and it's all just one nice layer of grass now.
Yep. Sure enough. Absolutely.
Just goes to show you what concerted effort can achieve over time.
Yeah, and just the want to.
Yeah, no, 100%.
You know, somebody asked me if I was going to be making more crabapple jelly. But you know what? I can't even tell if there's any crabapple on that tree.
Oh. I don't know.
I know now it was, but I don't see none.
Of course, they are kind of hard to see this part of the season, aren't they?
Yeah, true.
It's pretty early in spring still.
Well, one of my customers, he said his grandma keeps asking for some more.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. One of my other customers said, well, he sent me that picture of the pie he made using the crabapple preserves and regular green apples, you know. And it was a gorgeous pie, and he smoked it. He smoked it. Can you believe that? It was beautiful. It really
a smoked pie?
It was. He said the crabapple preserves in there just really, really.
You know what?
Set off the rest of it.
I bet that makes sense. And the reason I think that makes sense is because ultimately, smoke doesn't add umami and it doesn't add sweetness inherently. Yeah. It might add notes of sweetness or something. Yeah. It might add notes that accentuate umami flavors, but really, smoke can accentuate a lot of crazy shit, you know? A lot of stuff. So a smoked pie does not sound that far off.
Oh, it was a beautiful pie, too.
I bet it was.
But he's another one that's asking, hey, you got any more? You gonna have any more? Well, yeah, what you got going this season? I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah,
no doubt,
just,
no
you
doubt.
know,
Dude, you know, those fucking, those little chickens, how'd you think those turned out?
oh, they were phenomenal.
Really?
I really loved it. I did.
I did
I
too.
thought that's the way to do them.
Yeah, that's the way to do them, right?
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
because the flavor, it was just infused with flavor all the way through.
Yes, that was the thing I liked about it.
Smoking too, that it infuses flavor everywhere.
All throughout the meat, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It got all throughout the meat, and the basting process too allows you to constantly cycle all those spices around, and it develops a nice crust. I think next time I do it, I'm going to do it on a 20-minute basting schedule instead of a 30-minute basting schedule, and that way maybe it'll develop less of a crust. Because if it developed less of a carbonization on it, it would have been better. It would have been a little more flavorful in that top part of the breast, but I still thought it turned out about as well as you could hope for the first time trying a new recipe. And you know what's cool? I created that recipe completely myself. I didn't look at a single cookbook or a single website to think about how to do that. I literally didn't. I'm so proud of myself.
What did they do?
What?
Oh, they just looking? Maybe?
That's what it looks like.
Okay. That ain't the one that, is saying they're gonna kill on it, are they?
I always stare at all your stuff.
You're fine.
Okay.
I think that's just a crazy lady that likes animals.
Oh, okay. Oh, that one said she's gonna be fast. You do. I dare him. Because Peter ain't going to shit for nothing.
No, dude, they're not.
Hey, Josie, get away from there. You ain't getting my muscadines.
She's like, I am
Yeah.
though.
That's what I thought.
That goat don't listen to me for shit, bro.
Yeah.
That goat don't give a fuck about what I have to say.
It's because they got that nice slow voice.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll tell you
You've got the cop yell,
yeah,
you know.
I do, really do.
And my mom is the type of person that could call to you from the other side of a hill. She could do. I don't know if you guys have ever seen videos of people doing that mountain talking or whatever. I forget what it's called, but there's this like Nordic art where people. It was originally used to call in herds of cattle, actually, but they project their voice super fucking loud, and it bounces off all the mountains and shit, comes back at them, and then they harmonize with the echoes. You know.
Cool. I've never seen that. That's cool.
Yeah.
Sounds cool.
It is. It's really cool. But you could do that if you went to Norway and trained in it for like 2 months.
Yeah, but that would involve getting on an airplane, and I'm not fixing to do that because of that.
Getting on an airplane and standing at the top of a Nordic fjord.
Yeah, no, too cold.
Yeah, way too cold. Way too cold for you. The amount of cushioning and blanketry you would have to have on would hinder any ability to project.
Especially when I went to breathe in.
Yep.
Shit, fuck this.
Yep.
Yep.
Dude, I really want to explore places like Europe, and I want to be a world traveler. But number one, I'm poor. Number two, well, that's the most obvious fucking preventative thing, right? But number two is the fact that you know what? I'm scared of planes too, and not the same way that you are. Like I feel like I'm not scared of a plane. If I picture myself in the cockpit, right? If I picture myself at the controls, I'm less scared of the preposition or the idea of it, right? But which I know sounds absurd because I don't know how to fly a plane.
Actually, that's maybe that's my aversion to it. I'm not the one that can control.
Right, that's my problem too.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
I can barely handle it when I'm driving with another person. I mean, you've seen how I am ever since my crashes. I'm just
Oh,
like
yeah,
a fragile old lady, like, oh God, oh no,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, you get in the car with me, and act like I'm driving. Well, I act like I'm driving the Indy 500. I don't care what the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah, which I used to find that kind of like, and I still find it funny, but I used to find it kind of entertaining, and now I just find it scary. But you know, like that's the fucking thing. Is none of the crashes I've been in involved you, so I don't know why.
Yeah.
You know, and honestly, none of the crashes I've been in have involved fucking particularly high speeds. Honestly,
Yeah.
I mean, the highest speed one was that one, which I think was the one that fucked me up the most in terms of just like making me scared of cars. Was that one where I flipped Taylor's bullshit.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I try not to say her name on stream. I try not to like say the names of people from my personal life on stream,
Yeah.
but whatever. That's a vague enough name, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, what were we talking about? That SUV distracted me by its loud sounding like a fucking.
Um, car crash.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The one
But when I crashed my ex's Ford Fiesta, I think it was. I think it was a Ford Fiesta. And, you know, I should have known better than to say, yeah, this is an okay car. Have I ever told you that I was involved in the purchasing decision of that car?
I don't guess so.
Your daughter bought a Ford.
I thought I taught it better than that.
No, I guess not. Because, you know what? Never again, but it took me getting burned by the stove.
Yeah.
It took getting burned by the stove before I recognized that the burners are hot.
Yeah.
So it still does not speak particularly glowingly of my intelligence.
Well, yeah. You know, you sort of got smarter.
Yeah,
Mostly.
mostly.
But there's still some things you got to learn by, do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And pay the consequences. But, there you go. But,
100%.
you know what? One of these days when you're doing your stream,
Mm-hmm.
me and you really need to talk about the nursing home business.
Why not right now?
Well, yeah, guess we could. I forgot to get anything out for supper though, by the way.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
Well,
but
it's still pretty early in the day, though.
yeah, well, it's almost 2 o'clock now.
Oh, well, yeah.
Anyway, the reason I say that is because I seen something this morning that one of my cousins posted that said that if you're in the nursing home business or home health or healthcare business, specifically nursing homes, if you're only in it for the money, see yourself out. Well, for starters, me and you both know there is no money in working for nursing homes unless you are a registered
Bureaucrat or
nurse,
something,
if
right?
you're the director of nursing or the administrator of that nursing home. That's the only ones who make money. Everyone else barely makes minimum wage at their job.
Right. The
Usually.
CNAs might make a little bit more, but they're still
but it's
making barely a
yeah,
living wage.
Yeah, exactly. Barely.
Barely.
And each of the ones that I worked at, even when I got a raise, even though I made more than minimum wage, it still didn't get us off welfare.
Right.
That's what a lot of people don't understand. Regardless of what your family is paying for that person's care, that, the people literally taking care of your people, they don't make shit.
Mm-mm. No.
They're still on food stamps.
Mm-hmm.
They still get subsidies from the government. They get, Social Security or, they get
They have
checks on
to.
their kids because they absolutely have to.
Right.
There is no other choice. There is no working in healthcare or nursing homes for the money. You do not do it for the money. You do it because you can't get a job somewhere else. And because you think that is basically as close as you can get to not working for a living. Sometimes, even though it is very, in some places, the lower ones and the bigger ones that are just, you got all kinds of people who are in there, that Medicaid and Medicare, pays for them to be there. You know, that's going to be the bigger facilities that don't charge as much, you know, but at the same time, you're going to be running your ass off because they are continuously ran on very little shift.
They're ran
You know, they're ran
understaffed.
understaffed.
Yeah.
Yeah, just continuously.
Yeah, across the board. Yeah.
Always understaffed. It has nothing to do with them not being able to staff. It has to do with them not wanting to staff people because then they're not making near as many. They're not making near as much.
Right.
You know, and this comes from you know, one of the places that I've worked. I knew the actual owner. He had been kicked out of another state.
Oh, I
running
know
the
who you're talking
exact
about.
Same thing. You
Spiro
know?
or whatever.
I don't even remember what his name was.
Yeah.
But that, you know, that right there just goes to show you that nobody, you know, people who put their families in nursing homes now, they buy into the bullshit. You know, they
Yeah.
think that when they're putting their people in there, they listen to what the managers, the administrators tell them. Oh yeah, this is how good we take care of our people, and they're going to show you the people who can take care of themselves, and they'll tell
Exactly.
you, oh, they love it here because they get to do whatever they want. They need to take you back there to the people who cannot take care of themselves, who are laying in their own piss and shit, haven't been given a bath in the last fucking week, 3 weeks, whatever it is. That's what they need to show you.
Right.
Because that bullshit, somebody needs to be fucking talking about it because nobody is.
No.
Because everybody is buying into the bullshit. That's one thing that just, there is so many things about this country and it's the industries we have in this country. You know, that is one industry that needs to be totally dismantled and redone.
Oh yeah,
Stop
100%.
paying them desk sitters a fuck ton of money to get people in there.
Mhm.
Start paying the people who actually do the work. Pay them a decent wage. Appreciate them.
And hire enough of them.
Hire enough of them to actually take care of people to where they're not dragging their feet. They're not having to hold their bladder, you know, 8 hours of the day, always having UTIs just because they can't get to that person, you know, or get to another person, you know, or whatever, you know. Stop treating them like shit. Stop getting rid of the ones who actually do give a shit. Because it
100%.
makes you look bad.
Right.
You know, I'm sorry, you need to look bad. You should look bad. You should not even be able to fucking sleep at night. Anyway. Yeah.
No, yeah. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
100% agree. When it comes to nursing homes, it's one of the most stark examples of what happens when you allow the privatization and corporatization of necessary care to become commonplace and standard in
Yes,
America.
Exactly.
So now it's just expected, right?
Yeah.
That a corporation is going to own and control the means by which your elderly family member is going to be taken care of in the last years of their life,
Yep.
you know?
Yep.
And they are allowed to extract massive amounts of money. And like when it comes to like Medicaid patients, they actually screw them over worse because the fact that the government's paying for so much of it means that they can overcharge because what's left over in terms of like this has to be paid out of whatever fund you have.
Yep.
That like
Yeah. And then the nursing
it
home
seems like a
gets
discount,
whatever. Yeah. And two,
but they're charging you more.
with your people who are on Medicare, Medicaid, whatever, when they do get in a nursing home, if you did have anything left that you thought was going to be going to your family, no. It goes straight to that nursing home to pay for things that so-called Medicare or Medicaid did not pay. Nobody gets shit.
Right, and it's fucking ridiculous because it's all to benefit this tiny little elite class of bourgeoisie fucks at the top when it comes to these administrators, and the owners and operators, basically the people who run them and the people who own them and the land that they're on.
Yeah, and right now you got too many corporations that are doing the exact same fucking thing, and they crop up everywhere in the United States, everywhere, and they act like they're so much better than these so-called bad nursing homes. No, they are run the exact same fucking way, and your people are still getting mistreated. But you want to throw a fit when you see that, you know, oh my God, this dude is just having sex with grandma, when nobody's watching. Well, guess what? That kind of shit happens every fucking where.
Right, because
nobody's
because
watching.
people are asleep, right, because the fucking security apparatus is asleep at the wheel, because there is no security
security.
I was about to
There's
say,
no fucking security.
there's no security apparatus at a lot of
Yeah,
these institutions.
Yeah. There's
You know?
none at any of them.
Right.
These CNAs, these glorified butt wipers, basically are the only ones who know what is going on with these patients,
Right.
residents, whatever you want to call them, but they're patients.
Right.
You know,
They
don't give a
are
flying
patients
fuck.
and residents
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. They don't give a fuck. They ain't gonna tell on this one because then they would get told on for what they're doing wrong.
Well, that's
God
why
forbid.
here's the thing, we need CNA. CNA, like, they may be glorified butt wipers, but you need a butt wiper, you need a groom of the stool.
And
I'm not saying you are.
absolutely do. Yeah.
I'm just saying, the way to fucking fix this issue, in my opinion, is restructuring the way nursing care works in this country. How would you feel about, if you heard the news that some president was nationalizing the elderly care system in this country? Basically, like, all nursing homes are going to be taken over by a publicly accountable institution that is operated by elected representatives. How would you feel about that?
I would be, well, I guess it would depend on how it was ran. I mean, if it's ran like most government things, then yeah, it's just
going to be trash, right? If it's ran like most programs, I guess that's
exactly.
fundamentally the problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is as a person who's got a pretty strong belief in the idea of democracy as a principle, I always want to look for the democratic solution in terms of what would be a good way to make this
a better system.
A functional system. And the thing I always fall back on is the idea of public accountability. But the problem with public accountability is that it only works if you have an active and engaged populace.
Yes.
If the people in your country care about political issues and care about things going on in the world and in their own country, then you can have a successful you can have these organizations that are kept honest by the people. But if you don't, if that is able to slip and people get complacent and shit, then you end up with a system where maybe things could get better, but nobody's voting on the issues that matter because they're all disenfranchised.
And too many people don't know about the ombudsman system that is in place for every single nursing home in this nation. It's basically is supposed to be the watchdog of nursing homes, but so many families don't know that is how to get something done. You start with the ombudsman, then you go through everyone else that you need to go through. There is, a senior basically health division, that you can report these nursing homes to. With enough reports and with enough people saying, hey, I am not going to put up with my family member being put through this. But people have to do something about it. But it also has to, the way that they run them, something has to be done. Because
100%.
You can get rid of those people, but guess what? You don't know what you're going to be putting in place of it.
Right.
Because with a broken system at the get-go and not paying them enough in the first place, you're going to have the same problems just over and over. You're not going to fix the core problem. So with nationalization of it, maybe that would, as long as you could expand the senior division of the overseeing of nursing homes, the ombudsman stuff, all of that.
If you could increase the oversight of it, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And that's, I think, one of the clear benefits of nationalization when it comes to the elderly care system is the fact that with nationalization would come the opportunity for way, way, way more transparency, way more accountability, and you could increase the prevalence of these oversight organizations to where people know their ombudsman, and know how to get in contact with the people that they need to in order to hold these places accountable when one fucks up, right? because any system is going to have some people who are supposed to be responsible for doling out the tasks and making sure that the business of the day is getting completed.
Yes.
And that person needs to be able to be held accountable by someone other than their fucking shareholders, which right now,
Yes,
as of this current point in time, that's who fucking determines what happens in a nursing home.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, it's a fucking shareholder.
Yeah, and the only thing they're concerned about with is
Profit.
how much money they're making.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the one fucking driving concern. That's why when it comes to so many of these, like what I call societal necessities, I think you can fairly term them societal necessities. I think a lot of them need to be nationalized because people just, like, when we leave people to the tender mercies of the capitalists when it comes to these things, they fuck us. Like, elder care is the best example. I never really thought about it as an example, but you're 100% right.
Yeah.
It's one of the best examples for how allowing the profit motive, because you're 100% right. Why do they understaff nursing homes?
Yeah.
Because they don't have to pay people as much.
Yeah.
Why is it important that they don't pay people as much?
Yep.
Because that eats into their fucking profits.
Yep.
Why do they serve low quality food, mass processed food, mass produced food? Because it's cheaper than serving them fucking gourmet meals.
Yeah.
Why do they do this? Why do they do that? If you go through the line with any of these questions when it comes to the elder care industry, what you will arrive at, and I'm sure you already know this, what you will arrive at is profit. That it's exclusively being driven by profit.
Yeah. And when you do get someone in there that actually cares about people, they're made to feel like their opinion does not matter. They are belittled, and then they're treated like they're being given this great big, thing. Oh, you get a 15-cent raise. Oh, wait, you know what? I'm sorry, I can't even get off food stamps with that.
No,
And I'm trying
that
to
does
raise my
nothing.
kid.
That does nothing.
Exactly. But they want to act like, oh, yeah, I'm doing you a favor.
Mhm.
No, you're not. You're not. But when someone actually does care about the residents or anything else and cares about the quality of what they get, they're still treated like crap because they're not
They're not going along with the program.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. They're not part of the team because they're not worried about the fact that they're not making enough.
Right. Or they're more concerned with that, like people who are more concerned with the residents' health and safety and happiness in the modern system of nursing homes and in America at the very least. People that are like that do not usually rise to the top. People that are good at faking it, I think, maybe rise to the top. But
that's the only ones who do.
Right. But people who genuinely feel that way and genuinely act in that manner, they are not the ones who rise to the fucking top. They're the ones getting underpaid and burn out in 3 years and finding some other job in some other industry.
Yep.
And they never look back at a nursing home because they love those people. They love being a part of that. It's almost like public service, but it's not treated like that.
Yeah.
Every other public servant in this country is treated like royalty, basically. Not royalty, but there's very few that are treated as shittily as nursing home employees. But they're effectively public servants. Everybody needs a nursing home eventually. No, most people eventually end up needing a nursing home. And it's just the only reason we don't treat them like that is because it's become such a private thing.
He's still my big deal. All right, I gotta get up. Sorry.
Alrighty.
But it's been fun.
Yeah, it has been.
Yeah, it has been very fun.
It has been very fun.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, thank you for coming on the stream. It's actually been really, really fun and really chill to hang out and have like a big long conversation. As we just sit here and listen to the birds and everything. Yeah, this is a really cool stream. I think I'm actually gonna, I'll probably sit here for a couple more minutes and shoot the shit with my chat, and then
Yeah.
I'll probably head off as well before my phone gets too low on battery.
Come on. We're done, Smidge.
She's like, you gotta figure out how to carry me. Well, that was cool. That was super fun. That was totally out of nowhere. Tweaking out? I don't think you've ever met a tweaker, bro. Something tells me you've never met a tweaker in your life. Man, we are still at 50% battery, and it is an hour and 34 minutes into this fucking stream. That is wild. That is genuinely wild. I don't know why my phone's battery is lasting so long today. I'm glad. Don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining. But it's just strange. I wonder if we're still on the right chat. Are we still on all messages? Yeah, we are. Okay. Ooh. We may have another guest appearance. Man, I'm just going to turn this stream into an interview show.
They know me though.
Yeah, that's true. Well, some of you guys do.
Yeah, because I'm cool.
Hell yeah.
Your mom was on your stream?
Yeah, dude. She didn't appear on cam, but yeah, we sat here and talked for a good hour and a half, pretty much. I mean, she came out and joined me like 2.5 minutes after I started. So yeah, and it's an hour and 36 minutes in. So yeah, she joined me for about an hour and a half, and we talked about all kinds of shit. Talked about COVID-19 and how it kind of like changed public politics forever. You know, which it did. Talked about all the weird conspiracy theories that came out of it and 9/11.
I just want to come over and say hi in that bed.
I love you.
Me too. I was going to go start dishes here in a minute.
Right on, right on. Well, I'm not going to stay on here long. The chat has pretty much died, and I think the stream has done what it's going to do. So I'll probably come in fairly soon. You okay?
Yes. Happy Pride Month to you rainbow fuckers.
Oh, yeah, dude. The stream is titled First Day of Pride Month.
Yeah, so happy Pride Month to you rainbow fuckers.
Yeah, happy Pride Month, everybody. I totally forgot to say that at any point, but yeah, happy Pride Month. Now, chat's not saying anything because there's only 7 viewers, because the stream has, as we say, petered out. But that's because I'm basically just talked out, and nobody in the stream is really saying anything much worth commenting on. It's kind of hard to riff on a person that's just providing like baseline insult, you know? There's only so much a person can do with that. And as a result, it's left me kind of devoid of content, you know? As a what you might call a collaborative performer. So it has left me without a topic, in other words. And I'm sure if the chat was popping off like it was earlier, we would have plenty to talk about if I had been left without a left without a co-host. If you might, if you'll humor the expression. Adderall crash, man. Why do you guys think I'm on Adderall? What am I doing that's particularly Adderall-like? Why, I would admit that if I was on Adderall, I would be fine, just saying it. But I haven't taken Adderall since I stopped getting prescribed it when I was 9 or something. So, and even back then, I didn't actually take Adderall back then. When I was a kid, I was prescribed methylphenidate, which is an Adderall generic form, I think. It's a Jewish thing. Now I'm a Jew. Okay, cool. I'll be Jewish. I am whatever you say I am. If I wasn't, then why would I say I am? Swaying, clenching your mouth, and non-stop talking, you can't help but show it. So the swaying is because I'm autistic, as far as I know. That's the explanation I've heard from psychiatrists and shit. The non-stop talking is because I was raised by two pretty talkative people. My mom more so than my dad. I mean, me and my mom just sat out here and had an hour and a half long conversation, and neither of us could shut up throughout the whole thing, So I come by it honest. But the clenching the teeth thing, I don't really feel like I do that often. Sometimes I will do it, though, as a stem. I'm permafried, not autistic. Man, you think you know so much about me because you've watched me for a few minutes on a live stream. Well, I'm sorry to say that I have papers to prove that I am in fact autistic and have been diagnosed as such since I was 8, I think. I don't know, I'd have to look at the papers. Oh, sweaty sack. I'm the first person who's given you attention all day long, huh? And look at how repelled people are by your presence. Look at how repelled people are. The mere fact that I'm responding to you has caused my viewers to cascade down to 7. Look at that. That is what we call being repellent, my friend. I'm not Jewish, but I love this idea that I am because it's some kind of Jewish meditation ritual or some shit. Okay, I'm cool with it, Hey, I love Jewish people. They make some delicious food. They also make some food that I don't quite get, but maybe I'm not supposed to understand the matzo ball. Anyway, you guys have started to bore me, so I'm going to go. I'm going to leave now. Goodbye.